Part two.
Part two.
Welcome back, y'all.
Part two of the 5 dimensions of success. We talked about relationships. We talked about brand. Now we're going to talk about energy and skill. We already glazed over money. So, we were saying that we have 2 that we're going to talk about in this one. There could be a part 3 because money is really like,
it's a whole
it's a whole podcast. We can talk about money for, as long as the world fucking keeps turning. So let's start it off right here. So the 3rd or 4th dimension of fucking success, however you want to count it. Energy. Now that's something that we may or may not have a lot of, depending on the fucking day, depending on the time, depending on, if the sun's out or not, it doesn't fucking matter. There's a lot of things that can affect the amount of energy that you have to do something. But when I believe energy is brought up, I don't think it's a kind of like energy in a sense of being charismatic, always being, just super excited and ready to go all the fucking time. I think it's more so related to the persistence and willpower to continue forward. Having the energy, having the willpower to continue to do what the fuck needs to get done. That's what I believe he's referring to when it's talking about energy. And I think he mentioned something slightly like that. I could be slightly off here, but I do like to think of it like that, as opposed to always having just energy, always just super excited about shit. Like, that's not how shit is when you're on this fucking long journey of entrepreneurship and life in general. You're not going to feel like doing shit most days, but having the willpower, having the fire burning within you, even when you're not feeling the best, the fire is still burning, and that still allows you to do the things that you need to do. So from that standpoint, Jose, how do you feel like that helps you succeed in life? How does energy help you achieve success?
So let's refer to the domain of aviation here. We like talking about planes because we're fly, Good job, plane. So there's a reason why the majority of flights are booked on economy airlines. Economy airlines are called economy because they have good fuel economy. They're efficient. They're energy efficient in terms of fuel consumption. An economy plane flies at a lower speed than a private jet does. A private jet will get you from point A to point B faster, generally, than an economy plane. So you got to factor in the fact that this private jet is going faster, which means it's consuming more energy, so it's not as energy efficient, but it has a very clear mission and a very clear goal and a very clear directive. However, a private jet does land frequently, doesn't make necessarily long trips, and also it refuels relatively frequently. So altogether, what this means is if you're going to transport a large capacity of people, it's more efficient to go slower. So if you want bandwidth, you need to burn through your energy slower. If you want throughput, you can burn through your energy, and you have to burn through your energy faster. But the question is, in your life, is your life a sprint or is it a marathon? Now, I like to make the joke that we are sprinters, that we run a marathon of sprints. And yes, this is true, but there are moments where we slow down and we have to recuperate energy. Right now is technically one of them. And it wasn't necessarily by choice. It was more so by circumstance. Everything's okay, though. Thank you for your concern. And all I'm saying here is that your energy is your currency. Your brain, how you think, where you are physically, where you put your money, where you put your worry, where you put your brain power and your cognitive prowess is your energy. And where you allocate that energy is going to determine where you go in the future. However, you have to balance your energy. You have to have a budget for your energy. What are the things you're going to give a fuck about? And what are the things you're not going to give a fuck about? Is this broad fucking blowing up your phone? Sure, she's hot, but she's taking all your fucking energy in more than one realm and capacity. So is that efficient for where you're trying to get? If I'm trying to go to New York, why am I going to go to Florida first? I can fly straight to New York. It's the same thing. Why are you gonna just waste energy and time?
And I want to add this. What is, because we were talking about horsepower earlier, because you're talking about like 1 horsepower type of thing. So what's better than, because let's start with the original, I guess, meaning and reference of horsepower. That's literally 1 horse back in the fucking day. How fucking fast 1 horse could pull a fucking carriage, right? And it could be 1 horse, there could be 2 horse, there could be 6 horses pulling that fucking carriage, and that can give you fucking 6 horsepower, right? Now we have cars that allow for ridiculous amounts of horsepower, 1,000+ horsepower, right? It's fucking insane. But what is better than 1 horsepower, Jose?
2 horsepower.
Okay, what's better than 3 horsepower?
I would hope 4.
Okay, awesome. So following that same train of thought, right? When it comes to having multiple horses, what does that allow the carriage to do when you have multiple horses?
Move faster, carry more.
Right. So, and if you're digging deeper into it, you have more access to more energy. When you have more energy sources, it allows you to do more. It allows you to carry more. So when you're thinking about things from a standpoint of business, right? If it's just you, all you can function at is 1 horsepower per se. That's all you can do. Maybe you can boost a little bit more. You can start doing things that give you a little bit more energy, whether legal or illegal, and then maybe you could boost you up to 5 horsepower. But it's not, exactly. But it's not healthy. We definitely haven't done that dumbass shit.
We
but
will not.
People watching, y'all might be in another kind of ethnic background to where that's something more accepting for you.
Listen,
wouldn't recommend it though.
We just manufacture it and move it. We don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
He's joking. We don't actually
ethnically wise. We don't partake in any of that.
But so when it comes to horsepower, right? All you have is 1 horsepower. But here's what you can do. For us, we have more access to more energy than you do. Why? Because we're not by ourselves. We have each other. So when we're doing something, we don't have to, use up all of our energy on 5 things for a day. Well, say me, myself, I don't have to use up all my energy for 5 things in a day when we can only accomplish fucking 5 things. No. We can accomplish 10+ things because we have each other. So when it comes to having the energy to get certain things done, even when I don't have the energy, Jose may have the energy. Even when Jose doesn't have the energy, I have the energy. Even when we both don't have the energy, we still have more energy than you because it's more than just you. It's more than just me. It's more than just Jose. It's both of us. So when you're doing something, when you're on the entrepreneurial journey, when you're trying to embark on a life of success, having that energy is so important. And the best way to deal with not having energy all the time, or the best way to dealing with how to procure more energy, is by having more people of like mind and like willpower around you to be able to utilize your energy together in order to do and accomplish the things that you're setting out to do. So that is why energy is such a pillar of success. But what do you have to add to that? I'm interested.
Now, I do think there's a caveat.
Oh.
And I know that this is something that we don't necessarily pay much attention to because we don't have this problem because it's you and I. Well, we do, but not to the extent that other people have it. Say you have, I'm going to use a ox because ox is an easier analogy for this. There's usually 2 oxes that pull a wagon, and there's something that connects them called a yoke. You know, the thing they put on the...
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there is some energy lost in linking them with a yoke because now they can't move side to side, but then also if I move, the yoke pulls you, which means now you're losing energy moving here and vice versa. So it's one of those things where like it's almost a tug of war. And so I do think that you add more horsepower, you add more baggage per se. And so you have to overcome those capacities, and you also have to learn how to streamline the processes. And I think that just comes with the territory. So even though it might sound good on paper, the more people you have, by the same token, there are instances where it'll work against you and it will slow things down.
That is very true, because even say a Bugatti, right? It has a obscene amount of horsepower. However, because of that horsepower and because of how the car is built is very heavy and things of that nature, it can't do certain things like what should I use for an example? Like a Porsche 911 might be able to do, right? It might not be able to corner as well. It might not be able to drift as well as a Porsche 911, because the Bugatti has so much horsepower and is built really for straight line speed as opposed to maneuverability around a track, right? So when you have access to all of this energy, when you have access to all this horsepower, it's good in theory, but you have to construct the car, you have to construct your business, you have to construct your relationships in a way to where it's not taking away from something else too much. And if it is, be cognizant of that and be aware that if that's how you structured your business to function, then by all means, go ahead. But if that's not what you're willing to trade off, be aware of that and figure out, do I need more horsepower? Do I need more employees? Do I need more of XYZ? If not, if I can still function at a high level or even better with less horsepower, by all means do so. However, when you know how to operate with someone else, when you know how to function with someone else, when you've known someone for such a long time, we're able to utilize that horsepower in a way that most people can't. Because even though we have times where we have to sit down and discuss things, and I wouldn't say never argue, but disagreements on how we might view certain things, we're able to get past that very quickly, as opposed to most people, to where they use that energy butting heads against each other. We never really use our energy for that. We use our energy on what needs to have energy kind of, used on. So it, like Jose said, it's not for everyone. However, doing it the right way definitely does allow you more access to get shit done quicker. Just realize that everyone might not be able to utilize it as efficiently as us or as other people. So
that just comes to pick your trade-offs.
Yeah.
Like there's no perfect solution for almost anything in life. It's the least flawed solution that you have to pick. But you're always going to bleed money. You're always going to bleed energy. You're never going to find the perfect partner, whether it's in business or in relationships and in life. Like, your parents are never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. Your shoes are never going to fit perfectly. Like, our watches don't even fit us perfectly.
Right.
That's why you even have little space breakers just in case it gets hot and things of the sort. So
there you go.
Like, just don't get caught up in the minutia of everything.
Exactly. And then next, we have skill. So It's funny because we're just having we always have conversations about shit that we end up podcasting about, and we don't even think about it before we fucking podcast, and it's crazy. But we were just having a conversation on this yesterday, where we watched this anime called Blue Lock, right? And I was thinking, I was like, what's my skill? Like, what am I really good at? So I can be able to ascertain how not only the thing that makes me different, but also how can I define Jose's best skill, and then how can we work in tandem together, knowing each other's strengths and knowing each other's weaknesses. That way, when you know those things, when you know each other's skills and deficiencies, you're able to know how to work that much better. That's why I wanted to know that. And in Blue Lock, that's essentially what they do. Every person has their own unique skill. They have their deficiencies, but they have that thing that sets them apart from everyone else. And once the other players realize what their skill is, they're able to attack based off of other players' skills and score based off of knowing how people play and their tendencies and things of that nature. So over that time, I was like, damn, what am I good at? What am I good at? What's my skill? What's my thing, right? And a lot of you might be in this place as well, to where you're just thinking about, what am I good at? What am I good at? What am I good at? One, I'd recommend first, ask other people what they think your skills are, because we're so, focused on other things to where it might not be apparent to us. But two, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who are like myself, and Jose would say this, but I don't agree necessarily, that like each other, to where we're not overly skilled in one particular area. You know, there's people who are just geniuses when it comes to math. There are people who are just savants when it comes to orating. There's people who are just brilliant when it comes to writing, right? And for us, I think, especially me, I was like, damn, I'm not like super skilled in one specific thing. But Jose pointed out, he was like, shit, we're essentially masters of none. That kind of makes it even better because most people are skilled at that one particular thing, and people put money into that thing and they train up that one particular thing to make it better, which is great. But that means that you're a one-trick pony. And outside of that, not saying you're an idiot, but you're not as useful to the group if it's outside that one specific thing. If you're just great at that one specific thing, it might get you a job, it might get you a high-paying job. But in my opinion, that's not going to allow you to be the person who's going to operate a business, who's going to be the CEO, who has to fucking call the shots, who has to understand multiple avenues to be able to, you know, make a macro decision instead of a micro decision, right? So for us, it was like, damn, we're not necessarily great or immaculate at one particular thing. We've had to get really good at multiple things because as co-founders and business owners, you have to be good at all these things at the start because nobody's going to do it but you, which I believe it's allowed us to be even better and achieve more success, is being skilled not only in one thing but multiple things. And that's how, in my opinion, skill is such a, you know, integral part in being successful, is because in order to do anything, in order to achieve any success, in order to generate any fucking money, it's a skill. Like, you're gonna get lucky maybe and it happened once, but in order for it to happen multiple times over and over again, there's skills needed for you to do that. So Jose, can you tell or talk to them a little bit more about the importance of skill when it comes to achieving success and how it's important, or is it important?
You know, everything in life is a masterpiece that is composed of many parts, and everything has its place. As you were speaking on being somebody who's high performing and highly competent in one domain or one thing, I thought of an F1 car. And the reason I thought about an F1 car or vehicle or jet, whatever you want to call it, because, you know, it's basically a lot of things. I thought the F1 car is really good at what it is. It's really good at navigation and acceleration and deceleration. It's very good at those things. It's a very complex instrument. However, you can't drive it on the road. It's not fuel efficient. It's very loud. And it's not comfortable. It's only a one-seater. And then I got to thinking, well, the F1 car is nothing without an F1 track. The F1 track is nothing without marketing. The marketing for F1 is nothing without the racers. And the racers are nothing without their vehicles. And the racers are also nothing without their coaches and their teams and their equipment and their training. And then I thought, the vehicle itself, you can have the best tires for F1 vehicles, but the tire is nothing without the vehicle. The vehicle doesn't exist without all the components. So everybody has their role and everybody has their skills. In my opinion, the more skills you have, the more valuable you are. Overall, that's not to criticize people that want to focus on one thing. At one point in time, I was just die hard into science. I've been die hard into a lot of things, but I was a full on research scientist. I have 3 papers published to my name. There's a 4th one on its way. But I don't want to be a singular domain individual. That's not what I desire. Now, what does that allow me to do? Well, that allows me to be a Swiss Army knife and have multiple competencies in multiple areas. And what does that mean? Well, that means that if Austin gives me a call and he's like, hey, bro, we need to do X, Y, Z, I don't just stand there and go, oh, I don't have any idea how to do it. I say, okay, cool. Yeah. When do we need it by? All right, cool. Do you know anybody we could call? All right. Boom, we're on the phone and we're getting it done. That's the point. It's not that it makes you better, it allows you to do more. The more skills you have, like you mentioned, the more value you can provide. And if you know how to organize those skills and prioritize what you need to do, there's quite literally nothing you can't achieve. It just takes time and persistence. And skills can be trained. We're not talking about talent. We're talking about skill. There's a completely different domain for skill than talent.
I'm trying to think, like, whenever you see someone who's like extremely, like, overly muscular, like they're huge, right? Super, super strong. And you would assume that because they're super, super big, that means that in a fight they would automatically win, right? And it's not just that type of just huge, big, muscular person to where it's like, they're in shape. But it's like, no, they're super big, like to the point to where they don't run. All they do is just build muscle all the time, right? Now, they're super focused on being big, lifting a lot of weight. That's great. Nothing wrong with it. But in combat, who would win? Them or a middle to heavyweight boxer? Still relatively big, but able to move, able to have a lot of stamina, because when you're a boxer, you train and a lot of that. You run a lot, and you have to endure shit for how many rounds? 12?
Yeah, it depends on the fight, but usually 12.
So you have to endure shit for 12 rounds. When it comes to weightlifting, more often than not, it's like you lift the fucking weight and you're done. It's not a long type of thing. It's like, okay, it might take you some time to get the weight up, but it's not 12 rounds worth of shit that you have to do. And they're not only a good size, muscular wise, they have the flexibility, they have the stamina, but they have the ability to fight. They know how to fight, right? They have all these things. So from a looks perspective, the person who's super skilled at this one thing, the person who's super big, just huge, muscular person, they might look like they're the person who is going to win when it comes to the fight or life. But the person who has all these skills honed, not just one, but all of them, you put them in a ring together, that middleweight to heavyweight boxer is going to win that fight more often than not than the fucking big muscular guy. And honestly, sometimes it could just be as simple enough as them fucking running around the ring and fucking dodging punches, bobbing and weaving punches. The big person gets tired, knock him out with one punch. That type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Because there was also this scene in Troy where Achilles gets called out to fight. Again, the guy on the other side, big, huge, muscular guy, right? He just fucking dominates all of his opponents just by being fucking big and strong. Usually they're fighting some regular fucking guy, so that's why. But Achilles, who's strong, quick, fast, fucking has the stamina, knows how to use not only close combat weapons, but also things like spears, throwing spears, knows how to use his shield, knows how to fucking, use other tactics to be able to win, things of that nature, knows where to fucking cut you to where it would be like a one-hit kill. The big guy's out there, he's yelling, doing all this extra shit. Achilles comes out there after being fucking late because he didn't even fucking want to be there. He came out there, fucking dodged a couple spears, ran up, stabbed the guy one time, he died. Achilles was like, oh, okay, is anybody else gonna come out here and fight me? Like, is that it?
Y'all called me for this?
Yeah, is that it? Why did he win? Not because he was just great on one particular thing. He was skilled in every fucking area when it came to fighting. So if you want to be, or you want to go far in this thing called life, you want to go far in business, I would say, of course, know how to, or you might have a specialty for sure, but know a little bit about everything. Understand at least the bare minimum is to understand how shit works in like each arena. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the fucking SME when it comes to that, subject matter expert, but just know and have a good understanding of how shit operates. And that will put you ahead of most people, because most people just focus on one particular thing. And again, one particular thing is good if you want to be an employee. But if you want to go far and be a owner, a business owner, a CEO, things of that nature, you're going to have to know a little bit about everything and be skilled in every field of human endeavor, not just one.
That actually circles back to, what was it, point 1?
Which was
connections, relationships,
yeah.
Because, and I know this is going to be a little longer than, but that's fine. It's easier to talk to people and get to know people on common ground. If there's nothing that we know about in common, or that I can speak to that you know, or that you can speak to that I know, then it's very difficult to strike something. One of the things that we've seen in building relationships with our business partners is that the majority of time we bond over something as simple as the universities we went to, religion, familial beliefs, or even business acumen or business lessons, things we've learned and we've all suffered through as business owners and as entrepreneurs. And it kind of plays into the fact that the more you know, the more people you can get to know. And it doesn't mean that you're a domain expert. Say we meet, and remember that time that we were upstairs on our balcony overlooking the entire city of which we inhabit, making char-grilled oysters?
Oh, yeah.
And the older gentleman came and, he wanted to have an oyster. And actually, he did not. We offered him one. Right. You did, specifically because you knew him. And he just happened to have been a marine biologist in the past. And so we talked like very briefly, very surface level, but we weren't laymen when it came to biology, and much less marine biology. We talked about the fact that oysters are essentially like they're amplifiers. They amplify whatever debris is in the water. So if it's a positive environment, it'll give you better nutrition. But if it's a toxin, it'll be more toxic. That's what oysters do. And a quick conversation, but that leaves him with a good impression. And also it makes an introduction to, okay, now it's almost like playing golf or playing a sport or playing poker. You understand how a person acts, how they speak, how they think, whether they cheat, whether they don't cheat, how competitive are they? Can they take a loss? Can they bounce back? And the more ways that you can do this, you're just stacking your arsenal. I can talk to people and da-da-da-da-da-da. Why? Because you read books or because you talk to other people. There's a lot of shit that we didn't know a year ago that we know now. And when we look at it, it's like, wow, I don't know where I learned that. Do you know where we learned that? I have no clue. But it gives you the capacity to step into more rooms, get into more ears, and essentially have more people open more wallets, which, depending on what your goal is, that could be one way that you achieve it. The other way is that you're simply just looking at the capacity that you can talk to more people, get to know more people, and network with more people, which is also a phenomenal goal. So why wouldn't you want to have more skills and more abilities so that you can stack all the odds in your favor as much as you possibly can? Stay tuned for part 3.
The AM Club Podcast.
Signing out.
Mic check. The AM Club Podcast.